Today, I will finally learn how to embroider properly. With makercrate, some assembly required. I'm excited about this embroidered apron maker crate, but I will be honest, I've been putting it off because I feel like it's going to take a really long time. I just have that idea of embroidery like it's going to take weeks. I really don't think that it will, but hopefully it won't, because I don't have weeks. But now that we're here, let's open it up. We have our little get excited picture. I'm excited. Not my favorite color scheme, but it's makercrate and they do love their muted colors. We have our instruction and inspiration guide. We've got the link here to find the instructions and some pretty pictures. It also has more inspiration of exciting, cool, pretty things to do. That does look pretty. And some history. 2 embroidery hoops, one big, one little. We have, it looks like little patterns. And if I recognize correctly, that looks like transfer paper. We'll open that later. We've got some thick felt, some cottony fabric, regular weave in sort of a purplish, a lovely makercrate mustard, and sage green. We have our stitch guide, which I wish was not folded because that's gonna make it harder. I could either iron it or when I stretch it onto the hoop, it should be fine. Go away. What else? Whoa, we've got this apron, sort of a woven, not my color. That's okay. All right, it's thinner and more bendy than I would have thought. Sort of a polyester kind of a situation. We've got this guy. I'm guessing it's probably magnetic, so it can hold your needles. Embroidery tools. Tell me more. Little box. We have, it appears, a sewing thread. Oh, another magnetic situation with some pin backs. It's a strong magnet. Well, let's see if this is magnetic. Yep. Okay, so things to hold your needles and pins and whatever else. Needles with very small eyes. Cool. And, oh my. Little snippies. They're scary. I'll put the cover back on. I don't know what makes these better than regular scissors, but I don't know. makercrate thought that we should have them. So here they are. And finally, embroidery thread. Let's see what colors we're gonna pick from. Ooh! Pretty! Got a little variety this time. That's exciting, makercrate. Thank you. They're lovely. Yeah, so they look like regular old standard embroidery floss. A little sheen. Okay, I am gonna go review the videos and then we can get started. I'm back. As you may be able to see on this pretty inspiration guide, we seem to have 2 projects in this crate. We've got, well, 3, I guess. So we're learning the stitches and then we're putting that on an apron. And then you can also make these little custom embroidered patches. I'm going to split this video into 2 parts. This part, we're learning the stitches, and then we'll embroider the apron. The next video, I'm going to dedicate entirely to the patches because I feel like they could use a full video all their own. It seems like the patches are pretty cool, and we could use them for a lot of different things. I actually have some ideas of some fun stuff to do with the patches, so I'm going to dedicate a whole entire video to them. So today, I will be learning the appropriate ways to embroider and trying to forget all of the wrong stuff that I've been doing. And then I will make something pretty on the apron. Well, I'll make something on the apron. No guarantees that it will be pretty. Let's see if I can remember anything I learned on the video. First, and I know this part, we are going to stretch our little stitch guide sampler page cloth over our hoop. Now, I have the hardest time getting these to be centered, but I think that's probably just me. It's not going to probably live in the hoop anyway, so it doesn't have to be perfectly centered. But if you wanted to keep it forever and hang it on your wall, you should probably try to make sure it looks good inside the hoop. Now, this might be something you already know, but once it's pulled tight, it should sound kind of like a drum. There should be a little bouncing if you whack it. If you don't whack it too hard in case it's gonna fall apart. Okay, great, good enough. Ugh. Now let me get my close-up camera so you can actually see what I'm doing. Wonderful. Now, I believe that I have collected everything I need for this part. I have my stitch guide, and it looks like we will be learning the backstitch, split stitch, chain stitch, French knot in 4 different sizes, the satin stitch, and the lazy daisy. Cool. I know how to backstitch. I theoretically know how to satin stitch, but I'm not good at it. And French knot, I'm pretty sure I do wrong. So we'll learn how to do it properly today. Hopefully, try. I have picked 2 colors that, I don't know, might look okay together, kind of match with the printing. I've got my scary scissors and a needle. So we'll start with this lovely mustard color. Unravel it till you have about the length of your arm. And then I will use my scary snippers. I'll just be calling them that, if you don't mind. Snip it. Ah! Worked. Now this is exciting because I've learned a different way to peel out individual little embroidery flosses. So makercrate said to do it 1 little thread at a time. So I have 1 thread and you just hold it and you pretend it's not gonna knot. Ah! Oh, it didn't knot. You grab 1 little thread and you pinch these. Pull it out. That's a lot easier than trying to hold it in my mouth and with my knees and pull it apart. Okay, I am into it. I'll just kind of pull them straight and then put them together. I'll tie a knot at the end and try to thread my needle. This will take a minute, so you don't need to watch that. I've got a knot and I managed to thread the needle. It only took me 2 tries, which is pretty good. The eye of this needle is quite small. I guess we'll just get started with the backstitch. I kind of know how to do this one, so this should be a pretty good place to start. Here we go. So in the back, you can drag your little needle so that you can see where you're going. You're going to put it between these 2 lines. So you put it up, and then you will stitch backwards, which is why it's called the backstitch, here to the front. Ugh. Poke it in. La la la. So far, so good. Then, for the next stitch, you'll go in between the little dotted lines. This is not gonna look super even, but that's okay. We've got plenty of room for practice. And then, back to where the first one ends. 3rd stitch, and then through. So eventually, if you keep on going, you should have a nice little line. Apparently, backstitch is great for a straight line. So here we go. I'm going to keep going to the end of the line. I may not be winning any awards for being perfectly ultra straight, but That's not bad. That's a good start. So let me show you how makercrate would like you to finish off. So they don't seem to tie any knots, which makes me uncomfortable, but for this little sampler, that's fine. So you go sort of weaving in and out of your stitches. Weave it in. And again. Here we are, everything is all woven in, and then you take your terrifying scissors and give it a snippers. And close them up so they don't kill you in your sleep. And then you're all set with your back stitch. The next stitch will be the split stitch, which I don't believe I've ever done. Uncharted territory here. You start it, as I recall, the same way as the back stitch. So, starting from the back, in between the first two dashes. Granted, if you were actually doing this yourself, you wouldn't have dashes, but then do a 1 back stitch to begin. Super, look, we've done it. No, that's not it. So then you come in the next little space, then you split your stitch. So you go back into this stitch. I'm using 2 threads, so one should be up and one should be down, and you just stab through it. That doesn't seem even. Okay, there's a stitch. Now we'll try it again. See if it looks better a little bit bigger. Somewhere in here. Ta-da! I don't know. Okay. Not bad. One more and then we'll zoom ahead. Not bad. All right, let's see it be quick. Here at the end of the split stitch, they tell me that you come back in, you come in like you normally do, and then just kind of shove it over just a smidge to keep the curve going properly. You can sort of encourage your stitches to look curvier by when you go in to just scoot over and make it look like the curve. And then you're going to finish this one just the same way that we did the back stitch. Now I have my yellow threaded again, and we're doing the chain stitch. Now this one seemed really cool while they were showing it. Fingers crossed I can make it happen. It starts out like the last two, through the back with a teeny tiny back stitch. Now comes the part that I have to try to remember. So you come out through your dot, come through this stitch, just through the stitch and not through the material, through, and then back down through your dot. Now the key apparently to this stitch is not to pull all that hard, because if you pull super hard you're just going to look like you've got a back stitch or a split stitch or something. So let's do another. Through the dot. Of course, if you're doing this on your own, you're not going to have a dot, but I guess you could make one. You could write one on your canvas. Pull it through, more or less, back through the dot. Yeah, looks kind of chainy. Do another. Ugh. Seems like the tricky thing for this stitch would be to make everything even. So pull them the same amount of tight each time. I mean, They look pretty close. I made a chain stitch. That is super cute. Next, we've got French knots, 4 different sizes. So I will load up a needle with red and then we'll get started. I feel somewhat confident with French knots, but that could change. Ready to go. French knots. So we will come in through the back, of course. Basically, you always come in through the back because that's where your knot is, and your knot looks better in the back. Now, you're in, and then you hold your thread and wrap it one time around your needle. And then we'll go back in through our dot and hold our thread down nice and tight so it stays where we want it. Pull it through. Size 1. Number 2 will be, you guessed it, 2 wraps around 1, 2, stick it in, hold it tight, and then pull it through. Let's see if we can tell the difference between 1 and 2. I mean, it's a little bit bigger. All right, let's see what 3 looks like. And now we'll wrap it 3 times. 1, 2, 3. Keep it nice and taut. Shove it back in. And through the fabric. Tight. Even a little bit bigger. Cool. And the last one is 4. Ta-da! Oh, that's cool. I like that you can just make them different sizes by wrapping them different times. I'm a little bit curious about what's the limit, but I like the size of 4. All right, next is going to be satin stitch, and I'll use the yellow. So first, for the satin stitch, these little squares down here, they want you to back stitch around the edge, then you'll do your satin stitch across. They told us that you don't want to do any stitches longer than, what, an inch? Although that seems very, very long to me. So, do a couple of back stitches all the way around. Now that we have our little back-stitched border, we can start satin stitching across our square. My thread is in somewhere over there. I will basically just be doing really long back stitches just outside the border. So I'll go right across, pull it in. And then over and over and over and over till the square is all filled in. For this stitch, kind of like the chain stitch, but a little bit less. You don't want to pull too tight because I feel like it will just sort of like your stitches. But of course you want it to be tight enough to stay even. You don't want it floofing around all over the place. The stitches have to be pretty close to each other in order to fill it in. So far, so good. Knock on wood, this is the best satin stitch I've ever done. Wow! I was not expecting that. Looks kind of nice. For the other square, makercrate suggests use maybe 3 strands of embroidery floss and then see if that looks different. So let's see if that looks different. Now, Do they look different? Not really. But, you know, this one probably was a little bit faster because I used more thread per stitch. This one is a little tiny bit puffier, and that one is a little less. But they still seem just lovely. Finally, we've got the Lazy Daisy, and they also taught us how to make, basically it's also with the Lazy Daisy stitch, like a little vine, which seems kind of cute. Let's see if I remember how to do it. So, up through the middle, and then back down through the middle, hopefully in a slightly different part. And what you're going to do is come up at the end of a petal, somewhere around here, pull it till it's kind of petal shaped. A little bit more, tack it down. Whoop. Is it a little loopy? Maybe. Let's try it again. Seems to kind of match, so we'll tack it down. All right, let's do the rest. Not bad. Did I make it a little bit fluffy? Maybe. I probably could have pulled it a little tighter, but I wanted that round petal looking shape. I don't know. So next, I'm gonna just backstitch a little stem and then see if I can add some leaves, sort of in the same way. But first I'll do a stem and then I'll do some Lazy Daisy leaves. It seems cool. It looked cool when they did it in the little instruction video. Let's see if I was paying attention. Nice. I mean, I might have benefited from a sketch, but you can see how you could do something interesting with that. Awesome! I've passed my stitching lessons, I think. Next, I need to figure out what design I would like to put on the apron. I have no idea. I have a couple of thoughts, but nothing really concrete yet. So I will think a little bit about what design, then we can think about what beautiful colors I might like to use, and then I can finally get started. So now I'm ready for the main event, embroidering on the apron. Let's see what kind of ideas that they sent. Of course, you can always make whatever you want, use your own art. I think I have a plan, but let's just see what we've got. We have some geometric shapes. They're sort of cut into triangles, both because it looks cool and so that you can satin stitch if you want, and it's not huge. There's also, stay tuned for these. These are for the patches. I believe that is what I'm going to go with. It's kind of simple, but let's see. There's also some little crescent moon, celestial kinds of things. And then finally at the back, we have our transfer paper. So here's the plan. I got out some colors. I will trace this, I think, on another piece of paper. I would like to make maybe let's make art on the inside. Will that be very small? Maybe. Will it be impossible? We'll find out, I guess. So let's just whip through it and I'll show you all the things that I do to do something with this apron. This does not look round at all, but maybe when we unstretch it, it'll go back to the right shape. But I don't know. In the meanwhile, let's see what happens. Now I have an art apron. It's so cute. Yeah. I like the design. I think that it turned out pretty cool. I'm glad that I didn't just make an initial in the middle, which is what I was kind of thinking, because I couldn't think of anything to go inside. But this is a little bit cooler. I think that I've learned a little bit about embroidery, and I think that this turned out pretty cool. Would I have picked this particular color of apron? No, I would not. But that's okay. When you don't get to choose, you get what you get. But I'm definitely excited to make the patches now. That's going to be really cool. Those are going to be the next video next week. So if you're not subscribed, make sure you do that underneath and click the all notification bell so you don't miss it, because it's going to be awesome. I'm excited. I don't know if you're excited enough, but I'm excited to make them. So if you enjoyed this video and you think I did a good job embroidering, or you think that it was fun to watch me do an okay job embroidering, feel free to give the video a thumbs up. And as I said, if you like this kind of video, I have a lot of makercrate videos in a playlist. I'll put it up there. So I am excited to do the patches. I will do that next. And until then, be awesome. And I will see you on the next video. Bye!